as promised you today, I will show you the hash-res variant of the Gold Digger build. This build is designed to go into hash-res or high resource extraction sites and can do efficient mining, lots of cargo, and still deal with the pirates that may attack you. We've all tried it. You're sitting down for a nice, relaxing mining trip. You undock, you get to the build, and you forgot your limpets. Presenting the Remember Your Limpets mark from the Down to Earth store. With this mark, you'll have a nice bright sign right in your face, reminding you to restock your limpets. Check out this and many other products at d2astore.com. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. It's time for another build guide, and today we're going to look at the variant of the Gold Digger. I already have many versions of this build, and the latest one you can find on the CMDRs Toolbox. I'll link to that in the description. This is a variant of the existing build that is more tailored towards high-res sites or hash-res sites, because there's some extra modules we need in terms of like weaponry and point defense, fighter hangars, those kind of things. But let's dive right into it and take a look at the weapons. First of all, the mining loadout here is the same. I'm running in the medium slots 4 medium-sized mining lasers. In the past, I have been running mining lances out here on the nacelles. I swapped those out for normal mining lasers now. The idea with having mining lances was longer range. They're so far back on the ship. But since you are going to be scraping basically the nose against the front of the asteroid when mining anyway, the short range doesn't really matter. And the extra speed is really nice to have, so you can clean up those rocks a lot quicker. For weapons, I've gone with 2 beam lasers and a huge multi-cannon. Here you can really do whatever you like. It's completely up to you what you like to do with your weapons here. So whatever suits your fancy. But in my case here, you can see here I put efficient and regeneration sequence on it. Efficient again because I want to keep those things firing for as long as possible. It's not really needed since we have a pretty good power distributor, but I mean, you can put anything on there you really like. Regeneration sequence I have here because this type of mining benefits from flying in wings, and it is something that I hope I'll do a lot more of in wings. And if somebody else may not have a as highly engineered ship as you do, having those regeneration sequence means you can heal your friendly's ships and thereby preventing them from losing their shields. For the huge multi-cannon, I don't think there's a lot of surprises in here. It's an overcharged and corrosive shell. They use a little distributor, so just overcharge with the extra damage, corrosive shell to soften off the armor, so we can easily go through. Again, corrosive shell is not really needed here because it's very, very rare. You're gonna see ships in hash-res sites that has so much armor that a huge multi-cannon can't penetrate. For the utility mounts, I've gone quite over-engineered, but there's a reason behind the madness. As I talked about in my mapped mining guide, you don't want to lose the trail on the map, and that means that sometimes you will have to ignore the pirates for a significant amount of time as you get to a quote-unquote safe point in the map where you can safely turn around and deal with them without losing trail of where you are on the map. Therefore, I like to have a oversized hit point pool for my shields, so that I can just ignore the pirates, put 4 pips to shields, keep going, get to a safe point, and at that point then turn and deal with the pirates. And I need to be able to do that without losing my shield, or without fear of losing my shields. Therefore, I have 6 0A shield boosters, and these comes with a mix between resistance augmented and supercapacitor and heavy duty supercapacitor. There's 3 of each, so 50-50 split there, and should give you a nice balance between hit points and resistance. Normally I would go for a heavier resistance build on my combat ships, but in this situation, because you have these long breaks between fights where you're mining and nobody's bothering you, I don't mind upping the hit point pool, which is a good way to increase your effective hit points, since I have a lot of time to regenerate my shields in between fights. So I don't mind that extra hit point in this situation, which is why I've gone for a 50-50 split. Now, as you can see here, I also have 2 point defense. You don't need to engineer these, it's not really needed, but the position of these is crucial. You notice here, these are located on the belly of the ship. And this is important because the point of these is to deal with hatch breakers. You don't necessarily need 2, you can make do with 1. But if you have 8 utility mounts, sacrificing 2 for point defense I think is nice, just so if you have 2 people firing hatch breakers at you at the same time, you don't have one of them just suddenly slip through your defenses. Heading over to the core internal, I kept the lightweight armor and I have modified this with heavy duty deep plating. It's not needed. You're not going to lose shields. If you lose shields in this build, is already gone horribly wrong and you should have been running away minutes ago. This is really overkill and you don't need to do this. And if you don't have the materials, you don't want to waste the materials, there's no need to do the lightweight alloys, engineer those, just keep those stock. For the power plant, I've gone with a armored power plant. And then a mounted on it. Armored might seem odd, again, since we have the shields. We're not planning to lose the shields, but the reason I have armored is because it both gives us power capacity increase, and it also gives us better heat efficiency. And since I don't need the overcharge to get enough power, as you can see here, that's why I've just gone with an armored. Yes, it does make it heavier, it doesn't fit our jump range, but in my case, I'm going to be mining out of a fleet carrier, so I don't have to go that far. If you don't have a fleet carrier, you have to travel further. You might consider putting just enough overcharges, 1-2 levels of overcharge on this to get enough power to run your shields, and maybe even putting a thermal spread in here instead of a monster. That's up to you, but make it work. Thrusters, there are no surprises here. Dirty drives and drag drives, pretty standard. Frameshift drive, the same, also an A-rated frameshift drive. And these has increased range and mass manager, as you would expect. Life support, D-rated, and most likely lightweighted. Yes, it is lightweighted, because again, you don't really need the auction time. If you've gone to that point, you're already gone like horribly wrong somewhere. So therefore, you don't really need that. Don't need to worry about that. So next up, we have the power distributor. Here we have an A-rated power distributor. Those mining lasers are hungry, which is why I put a weapon-focused super conduit on. Sensors, also pretty straightforward for a mining ship here with the D-rated sensors, also with lightweight, just for that little bit extra jump range. Moving over to the optional terminals, this is where it begins to get interesting. Starting from the top, I think, I have 2 Class 8 cargo racks. That gives us the 512 tons of cargo, plus what we have in the refinery, which we'll see later. I put a prismatic shield on here, which might not really be needed. You might as well just put a bi-weave in here. That's a very good option as well. Prismatic just gives us that huge hit point pool. If you go bi-weave and you feel like you're having problems keeping your shields alive, you might want to swap out some of the shield boosters from resistance to heavy duty to get a higher hit point pool. But play around with what gives you the best shields with what you have. Again, prismatics is not a must-have. And I have a shield tester over on the CMDRs Toolbox as well, where you can sit and you can play around with the values so you can see what kind of fits your fighting style the best. Just keep in mind that you're going to have a lot of downtime, so that's why putting bi-weaves can be good, and it's also going to help with your power consumption, since the bi-weave is going to consume less power. Then we come to the collectors. I have 3 5A collectors, and these have been modified with lightweight, again to reduce that mass, increasing our jump range. In the original build, there was 4 of these, and that's 3 per collector controller. So normally I would have 12, but now I'm running with 9. That does mean I need to be a little bit more on point with my positioning. I need to make sure I'm as close to the rock as I can get. And sometimes I have a little bit of downtime where I have to wait for the collectors to do their thing. If like I haven't positioned myself just right on the rock so that all the fragments basically fly into my cargo hatch on its own. The reason why we only have 9, of course, is because I fitted a fighter hangar. This is probably the biggest time saver you're going to have when you're going in Hazards, because you want to deal with the pirates and you don't want to deal with them by wasting your own time. So an easy way to do it is just fit fighters. Fit a fighter hangar, launch the fighter, and let the fighter deal with them. In like 9 out of 10 cases, the fighter is more than capable of taking down the pirates without you intervening at all. Sometimes a particularly difficult NPC might come along, and you have to go out, turn around, and actually use your ship weapons to take it down. But in most cases, you're good. Fit any fighter that you like. I do have a video, I'm going to link it up in the more info icon here, where I go over all the different fighters, all the different variants. This, of course, also means you will need to have an NPC crew member with you, and they do take a cut when you sell your materials. Depending on how high is it ranked you get them at, they take a bigger and bigger cut. But what you can do if you don't really care about your crew members is you can hire the crew member and then fire them, not just set them inactive, completely fire them before you sell, and then just hire a new one before you head out for the next trip. That means they don't take a cut of your profit. But you still take them along with you. I left the 2 military compartments empty. There's not really anything in here that we need. If you're running bi-weaves up here, you can put Guardian Shield Reinforcement packs in here. I don't have the power for it, so I haven't done anything. But that could be a thing you could do if you're running bi-weaves to kind of up your hit points a little bit, since that is the downside of bi-weaves. So Then we come down to the usual mining equipment. I have a class 4 refinery giving me 10 bins. So together with the 512 tons of cargo, that gives me 522 tons of cargo that I can carry with all bins full. Also, of course, a 3A Prospect Olympic controller, also engineered with lightweight. This means I have 2 active limpets. Not really needed if you're running a map, since you should be hitting the right rock every time, first go. But if you're going to take this out for more normal mining, where you're going to be prospecting manually, or if you lose the trail on the map, it's nice to have those 2 extra limpets. And since we are going to be using our class 1 slot for a detailed surface scanner, so we can see the hotspot, find the hotspots, you might as well fit a class 3 here. The detailed surface scanner, by the way, is not really needed. I have expanded probes on this, but just because I had one lying around that was already engineered, and I just decided to put it on here. But I would recommend you just leave the engineering off this, because you don't need it. You just need to like hit the ring and you're gone. You're not going to be mapping planets, you're just going to see the rings. But that is the build. There will of course be a link for it in the description, and you can also find that over on the CMDRs Toolbox. Thanks a lot for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give a like, subscribe, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.